For the last 35 years, I believe there has been one matchup that has been worse than any other in fighting game history. Worse than Zod versus Lex Luthor in Injustice 1. Worse than Eerie versus Chan on the Italy stage in KOF 98. Worse than Brawl Meta Knight versus everybody. This is Zangief versus Dhalsim. If you don't know anything about these two characters, let me explain. Dhalsim is a character where the main objective is to keep you on the other side of the screen. Whether it be with his normals that have insane reach, Yoga Fire which controls the screen directly in front of him, or a fireball that lingers longer than almost everybody else's. His toolkit revolves around keeping you away. Now Zangief is pretty much the complete opposite. His toolkit revolves around being in and being close, whether it be with his SPD, his normal grab, or the numerous other options he's had throughout the years. His whole goal is to be up close and personal and taking as much damage as fast as possible. So as you can kind of imagine, this creates a yin and yang kind of scenario. Somebody aggressively wants to be in and somebody aggressively wants to be out. So it kind of resembles the unstoppable force versus an immovable object argument. Somebody wants to go and somebody does not. And it's been like this forever. And you can make the argument that Guile is the direct counter to Gief because of his sonic boom neutral and his flash kicks. There's even a whole show about it. Also, just the editor's note here, if I had to fight a bear for just one more season of High Score Girl, help the bear. But with the exception of a direct anti-air, everything Guile can do for zoning, Dhalsim can do better. And the direct anti-air thing isn't even necessarily true. So now that you understand why this matchup is such a nightmare for any Zangief player, let's go look at some of the tournament footage from years past to see if anybody has been able to overcome this adversity. Starting with... Now the match starts with a pretty irregular way for a Dhalsim. Rush down. He's trying to push Zangief back into the corner as much as he can to what I can only assume is the zone. And even though it looks like he has the lead right now, this is an incredibly sketchy position for a Dhalsim to be in because Zangief gets a lot of explosive damage and it only takes one hit, one mistake for this to go his favor immediately. And he makes one. With one bad time teleport, Gief gets the opening he needs and gets all the explosive damage off just a couple of hits. And with the momentum in his favor, he goes into round two with a lot of confidence, pushing Dhalsim right into the corner, taking a lot of chip damage off of just small hits, but using the explosive of the SPD to take the full round in just under 16 seconds. Now, I feel like a lot of the Zangief playstyle is mental games, and Mega Man X has to be one of the best players when it comes to that, because you can see his grab game immediately coming out here. He knows that he won the first round, he knows it's in his favor, and he knows that the Dhalsim is scared. He is a glass cannon. He can't really take that much damage from you explosively, but over time, across the screen, you're just going to be fighting the entire time. And especially as a Zangief, you can't afford to do that. But unfortunately, he is going to have to play to his game a little bit more because the Dhalsim is playing to his strengths. He's not going to let him jump in as much. He is still going to get a couple, but everybody's going to get a couple in this game. It's just the way it goes. Dhalsim has to keep you out, and you have to stay in. But this Dhalsim is no rookie, and he's definitely going to give Mega Man a run for his money, taking the first round in this set. Now, I'm not going to bore you to death showing you the full first to 5 because there's a lot of Dhalsim zoning, but you need to understand that both of these players are incredibly skilled with their characters. They are no slouch. Both of them fully understand what their characters can and can't do. So I'm going to take you to the last round of the set, 4-4. The match starts with Dhalsim taking an early health lead, mix-up, and dizzy. And in a situation like that, it's pretty much over for the Zangief player. Your only option is to run headfirst into all of his long-range moves. So that's the first round to the Dhalsim. And round 2 looks no better. This is a key situation for anyone to be in, but no less Dhalsim. He can keep away. It's 4-4. He knows that the set is tied. All he has to do is just win this last match. And he does. He does. I'm just going to spoil it for you now. All he has to do is keep Zangief away. He can even float for the rest of the game and he would still be fine. There's not a lot you can do in that ending situation. That was pretty rough. Now, I'm not going to say it's completely unwinnable in 2 Turbo for Zangief, but it is definitely a full uphill battle. But we're going to move on to 14 years later with
Street Fighter 4.
Now we finally get to talk about one of my favorite Zangief mains of the last decade, Snake Eyes. Now Street Fighter 4 gives Gief a lot more options than 2 Turbo, like Green Hand being a lot better and Focus Attack being an essential part of his kit.
Now, Sim, I feel like this is, I feel like I'm characterizing it as a big win for Gief. It's not. It's a pretty even match. I feel like the unfortunate part, though, is that Snake Eyes is just really, really confident in this.
Yo, wanted to get out, but it's too late. Oh, God. Where was the round? What happened? That was butt check, right?
Look, that is Dhalsim life.
Now, there's a common theme with a lot of these matches, being that Geef gets explosive damage first round, then it's a zone fest from here on out. Dhalsim has evolved a lot from 2 Turbo, but his playstyle or his players have not. He keeps Geef out until he can confirm the win, taking round 2.
Okay, that was a great round. That was a lot closer to 100%.
Round 1 was a geek?
Snake Eyes doesn't wait around as much in round 3 because he knows being on the other screen to a Dhalsim is a death sentence. And with good spacing and timing, he secures a punish and gains the position in the corner, using it to his advantage with green hand, red focus cancel into huge damage, ultimately taking the first game of the set. Now, after one set, even if you are Zangief, winning is still losing because you've given the Dhalsim all he needs to know, that he does not need to get close to you for any goddamn thing. So he's going to stay on the other side of the screen using his advantages for as long as possible. And in Street Fighter 4, it's usually going to work out for him. His only options as a Zangief main is to just hit his buttons before he recovers, or just stay right outside of the spacing so he can do something about it. But even that's a difficult task because the spacing to do any sort of punish after it is right at the end, or the edge of the screen. So with one well-timed ultra, that's Zangief, and he carries the momentum well into round 2, and keeps Geef on the other side of the screen, resulting in a perfect, and tying the set up 1-1. And once you've lost your momentum as a Geef, there's no getting it back. From here on out, it is just keep away, it's him trying his best to get in, and it's most importantly, an easy game for the Dhalsim. And with the tools Street Fighter 4 gives you, there's just not much you can do here, so with one bad time jump, he eats the Ultra 2. And that's game. So that's another very bleak matchup for the Zangief, and like I said, it's going to continue to be this way, but there is still a turnaround example that I've been waiting to get to, and let's check it out in Street. Stop interrupting me. For Street Fighter 5, we have Itabashi, Zangief, and fchamp. 2 very respectable players in their own right, but even more respectable that they're doing the old tug of time with these 2 matchups. Now, Street Fighter 5 moves a whole lot faster, or at least these 2 players do. This isn't going to be the same example of the first 2 matches in any other sense than they both have a mastery of their character. These boys are zooming. And I feel like Itabashi Zangief might be one of the best examples of a mix-up player because, oh my god, you can see it right here. The immediate stun, it's pretty much over for the Dhalsim here. But fchamp is no regular Dhalsim. He gets a hard knockdown and sets up a chip combo that takes the first round.
Super chip.
What's up? Oh! fchamp knows his stuff.
He knew.
He's nodding like, oh, he didn't know? He didn't know?
Now, that kind of disrespect will never be tolerated by a Zangief. So with that EX SPD, he swings the match in his favor, even almost getting the stun, but gets set up to do a jump and loses his momentum.
My goodness, the crowd's fierce.
All of that stun gone as well.
Put himself in the fire there.
That's a good trade for fchamp.
Oh, the lariat trade, the meaty headbutt. Oh, great pressure.
When Geef gets in, that health peels off Dhalsim so quickly.
Now, keep in mind, for Street Fighter 5, Zangief actually loses green hand. He loses one of the essential parts of getting in for him, but he is still a dominant force. I know I make Zangief sound pretty helpless in a lot of these Street Fighter games, but truly in 5, he does have the rushdown abilities. He has a Cyclone V trigger that sets him into a lot of free damage and even an EX command throw. And he also has his V skill that can tank 1 hit of damage and can be used against a lot of projectiles in exchange for great health. So needless to say, in Street Fighter 5, he has a lot of his fear factor. So round 1 goes to Itabashi Zangief. Now, by this point, I'm pretty sure everybody knows how the second match is about to go. One good game, a full rush down from Zangief, and now you're punished to the other side of the screen. Just a full punching bag for limbs and fireballs, and in this aspect, Zangief still doesn't benefit that much from Street Fighter 5's system. So fchamp takes round 1 of game 2 in a wash. And in these kind of situations, Zangief suffers a lot from his V skill. He can't be used effectively unless you're pretty close to the Dhalsim, and you have to get beat up a lot before you can activate V triggers, so it's kind of a lose-lose. And with one jump in trying to close the space, they trade, and fchamp ties it up 1-1.
Who, so not to my surprise, made it all the way here to winners final quite comfortably. starting where he left off in that last game.
Well said. fchamp does play this game a little bit more aggressively, even securing the stun and taking the round by playing across the screen. Now this is a bad situation. Like we've established, he has nothing to lose. He's not going to push it under any circumstances, so he's going to have to work his way in. But Itabashi Zangief is always going to work his way in, securing a crush counter and EX SPD to push Dhalsim back into the corner, even giving up some of his gray health to stay as the aggressor, and ultimately wins the game with a V skill.
Gets opened up anyway.
Not patiently waiting his death.
Now, even with the momentum of the last game, Dhalsim is still not going to make this easy on our boy, keeping him across the stream for pretty much the entirety of the match. Even though Itabashi Zangief hits one of the craziest SPD loops I've ever seen, it's still not enough to take the match against fchamp, making it 1-2 fchamp's favor. But he shouldn't have let him get that momentum, because straight into the third round, he is on it, taking every advantage he can get, using the SPD as much as possible, and overall taking a perfect game, which is not something I'd expect to see in Zangief's favor in this matchup in any universe.
Wants to tie this up to 2-2, not giving Filipino champ a chance to breathe, and a perfect for Itasan in this set.
Answer.
Even though fchamp gets hits by this SPD, he plays to his strengths a lot more into this game, keeping Zangief away and getting a pretty substantial life lead. But unfortunately, he does get put in the blender pretty close to the end of the game.
Attack Logan. Logan, he's in the blender.
Uh-oh.
He's in the blender here. This is a situation. Where are you going? Oh my thing.
But he does manage to pull it through, making it a tied game point. Now, I feel like the last round is the best example of how this game has gone this entire time. fchamp plays to his strengths very well, keeping Zangief on the other side of the screen, but regardless of how well he does that, Itabashi Zangief will get in and take explosive damage from him.
Get ever playing this matchup. This is like as close, I think, to Marvel as we
exactly.
can get.
Fun to watch, but you don't want to play it. You definitely don't want to play it.
He's in the blender again, and he just keeps him there.
Oh my goodness. Should be stunned here.
That's got to be stunned, yes. And he uses the splash. He doesn't need to use the grab. Into the super.
He's going to use the meat. I thought he was going to save it. He's going to kill him. Oh, sorry, what am I talking about?
If you want to watch this whole set, which I highly recommend, and any of the sets that I played in this video, check them out in the description, linked below. That's Street Fighter V. I feel like this game is a lot easier of a Zangief matchup than any of the other ones we've seen so far, but still not his best. This is the first Zangief dub we've seen so far, but we're going to see if it carries over into Street Fighter VI. Thank you. As for Street Fighter VI, there's not much tournament footage for these two characters, but in all honesty, it's no better. My whole point with making this video seems more set in stone than ever with Street Fighter VI. This matchup sucks. Okay, maybe I was being sarcastic about it being worse than some of those first examples, but be honest, can you think of any other character that has had to go through something like this for this long? And fundamentally, I think it'll never change, and that's by design. One is designed to be in, and one is designed to be out, and I'm sure it'll stay that way until Street Fighter 38. If you liked the video, show it by leaving one down below, and if you think there's a worse matchup out there, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to argue about it there. But that's it for me, bye.